The 1 hour, 4 hour, or the 15-minute, heck, maybe the daily or the monthly. What is the best time frame to do your volume profile analysis on? My name is Forrest, here with MyFundedFutures to help you pass your next eval account. If you're new to trading here, the volume profile is critically important. It shows us volume at prices, and we're going to talk about why that matters a little bit more. Make sure you follow us in our Discord. The link is down below for all of our latest promotions. You can also just click the link down for the latest deals. I have links to my own channel, Discord, and things like that down in the description of this video. So let's go ahead, take a look at the charts. All right, let's get into it. So we're in TradingView. We're going to go to a new chart in a second, if I can figure out how to do that. Yep. Let's call this VP. Cool. All right, so if you're new to TradingView and you haven't used this before, it's what I use for all of my charting. You can use any chart tool, but you're going to want to use the volume profile. So it might be best for you to just open up TradingView and follow right along. Once you're set up, what you could do to get the required indicators is you're going to come up to the indicators tab, and you can see that I have some favorited here, but we can just use our search, and we're going to look for the visible range volume profile. Visible range volume profile. So go ahead and select technicals and then visible range volume profile. I do have it favorited, but yeah, choose technicals. So we got the visible range volume profile. We're going to configure this. First, we're going to go to this drop down. We'll select this box here, change the row size to 100, volume, total volume, and for the style, we can change our color to this gray color. Just make everything gray. Cool. We'll get rid of the point of control. All right. And we're going to go to the daily. All right. So the way that you layer this is, I mean, maybe it's obvious, but we're going to start on the higher time frames. We're going to start on the higher time frame because we want to find areas of extreme interest. And the way that you find areas of extreme interest is by looking at the higher time frames. So on this higher time frames, you can see that we're approaching all-time highs again. What is the area with the most interest, right? And now the visible range volume profile is an anchored volume profile, and it's anchored to whatever's on my screen. So it's showing me the volume profile going all the way back to what's barely available on my screen, all the way over here on the left. So what we can see here is going way back to like the 3rd, let's just say right here, the 3rd of June in 2020. The place with the most volume is down here, 44.14.25. So we're just going to mark that. Do Option J, and it's going to do a horizontal line. Actually, we'll do Option H. It's going to do a horizontal line. I'm on a Mac, it's Option H. On Windows, it's Alt H, I believe. 44.25, and that's the place with the most volume. Where's another area with volume? We can see this area right here. There's these 4 bars of 46.12 to 47.09. So the way that we can mark that, there's a few ways. I'm going to do both sides of the shelf. So I'll do Option H, and I'll do an Option H there for some key levels. Okay, those are areas where we could mess around with the price. You'll notice at the bottom of the shelf is also where previous pivot was, so I like that for reinforcement. So those are some major areas. These are pretty far away though for us to really be too concerned with them, but for the sake of example, we'll continue on in this method. There's another node here, right here sticking out, 48.46. It's coming through, it's close to this previous pivot, so I like to line up these levels with these pivots as well. So I'll go ahead and we'll do one. We'll actually just do one through here, straight through this area. And we can see that there's another one right at this bottom pivot at 49.65. Okay, where we did this U-turn very, very recently. So let's zoom in a little bit. We'll stick on the daily. And I'm going to put my visible range to close to around this pivot. And let's see what we have a little bit closer term. Let's see if our pivots, when we had all that stuff on our screen, stays similar at all. So we can still see that there's a lot of volume close to this bar. It's a little bit lower. We can see that there is a huge amount of volume right here recently, quite a lot here at 52.04. So what I'll do is we'll just draw a line right there, straight through it. Simple and not too much. We can see that there are some lower value nodes here as well. There's an LVN here. We'll wait to do our LVNs as we zoom in. So let's go from the 1 day to the 4 hour. And we're just going to keep drilling down. So on the 4 hour, we've got a little bit more information. And I want to make sure that I have these highs in here, right? Because we're possibly going to sweep all-time highs. So I want to make sure I have volume profile information for the highs here, so we can figure out what the nodes are. And we can see here, now that we've zoomed in, there is a low value node here, right where we rejected. So I'm going to put my cursor right above this. I'll quickly scan to the left and we can see that this pivot here is also where we just pivoted again, right in this low value node. So let's go ahead and just do an option H. So we've got this pivot. Okay, let me get my arrow tool, arrow marker. There's this pivot, and we got this one right here, and we got the LVN. Okay, just added that in. Now this is the 4 hour. So what I might want to do is, because we're on a shorter time frame, is I could change the color, right, to show that this is a 4 hour. So we'll do that. We'll leave that as the 4 hour pivot, and we can see here that there is this. If we come lower, there is this area right here at 52.70. This is pretty close though, right? This LVN, but there is a near-term LVN. So I'm going to put it right on top of this little turn right here. I'll do an option J, and I'll change the color to orange again. Up above, we've got this node here sticking out, 52.87. Do option J. I'm going to project it from this point. And there's this other one here at 53.10. Now this is quite a lot of lines. I want to say that. But as we zoom in, we'll see how relevant they become. So let's go from the 4 hour to the 1 hour. And we'll zoom in just a little bit. See what we got here on our histogram. It should be pretty similar. Let's zoom in just a little bit, just to where we have more recent time series on our screen. Below, we can see that this is in fact a pretty decent LVN. There's a lot of volume built here where we consolidated, where we chopped in this area. Okay, pretty obvious. As we go to the left again, get our highs in. Let's see if there's any more detail that we can get out of our volume profile here on the 1 hour. This still looks like a solid LVN, right? This move from here to here is about 11 points. We see that the range was about 30 points. Okay, so we're probably going to push through that if we do a high. So let's just measure. All right, so if we push through this next relevant pivot, maybe we retest it, do a little pullback and push through, that would give us about a move to the next level of about 37 points. So that's well within reach. So my general thesis here, if I had to form a thesis, is on a high move is look for a sweep of 52.85. Okay, so I could just double click this, look for a sweep of this area based on simple measured move. Why? That's because the average session on Friday was 32 points. Okay, so if I assume we're going to do about a 32 to 40 point move, nothing exceptional, that means it's overnight Sunday right here, then yeah, we could push up to here to 52.85 and possibly sweep it. Makes sense. So this level seems reasonable. This level right here on the lowers seems like it's just going to be something inside the session to get tested. So this goes to the core of the video. We've got these major levels and we've got these smaller levels. How do I think through knowing that every single one of these lines can't be a line in the sand, right? They can't be. But this area still matters. 52.65 is Friday high. It's an LVN. Okay, so it's still a key level, but we have to think about the narrative of the session. If we were going to go higher, what is something that we could do? Okay, well, we could come and sweep this, come back, and then come and get this area, right? We could come touch this and do an M shape, right? So this area still matters. If we do an M shape, we're still looking for that 30-point move, right? So what is a 30-point move from if this was a high, right? Let's just do some mental math. 30-point move would come back to about the low, right? It makes obvious because the previous low was here. But something like that. If we had an exceptionally big move, we could come down to this 52.08. 56 points is not crazy for ES. It's a little bit bigger than Friday, but it's still not a 100-point day, right? 100 points on ES is like a big day. So this is only 55 points from here to here. So that this major liquidity target, right? This is the blue is something I drew on the higher time frame. So that's a possibility. So now I have two primary theses, which is we crack this, we sweep to this measured move, which is also a previous pivot, or we reject and come to the major magnet on the higher time frames, 52.08. Okay, I have an up thesis and a down thesis based off of the volume profile. Very, very simple. Let's look at the 15-minute, and we're going to zoom in even further. What information do we get on the 15-minute volume profile? All right, not too much. There's another indicator. Now that we're a little bit more zoomed in, I want to add another indicator. I'm going to go to technicals. I'm going to type in the session. I'm going to type in the session volume profile HD. Session volume profile HD. I chose technicals and then session volume profile HD. There's a little bit more information here. I want to modify this again. We want to get rid of, let's do total volume And on the style, we'll change the color to gray. And we'll change this to gray. I do this because I don't really care about the up and down volume. So that's important. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. That's fine. So what do we have here? Actually, let's go back and modify it a little bit more. So go ahead and select your session volume profile HD. We're going to add the VAH and the VAL. And just so that this is congruent with all my other charts, we're going to make these purple. Okay. So we've got these areas that we've drawn, and I want to look for any areas that overlap with a point of control. Now, the point of control, for anyone who isn't familiar, is within a fixed period of time where we're creating a volume profile histogram, right? A histogram is a bar chart, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, right? It's a bar with it represents a value, okay? And they're stacked next to each other, represent different values. It's a histogram. Is there anywhere on the screen right now where a session's point of control, that means the area in a session where there was the highest amount of transactions, coincides with the level? Well, we can see down here that this is, again, on the 15-minute. The 15-minute POC on Wednesday, May 8th overlaps with this daily level. So the 5-8 POC overlaps with a daily level. Okay, right down here. That's this area right here. So for that fits that down thesis. Remember that down thesis I was just talking about when we were on the higher time frame? So if we come back down to here, there's more confluence there. And you're going to see that a lot. But in terms of making a plan for a session, this level becomes even more key, right? We can see that there's tons of interest here, not just through congestion, but this was actually the point of control for this session. So I could see that getting retested. We can see that the value area highs here as well, right? These just statistical based highs are also coinciding with this shelf. So I could even look for, I could do an option J here. This is a level that I'd probably just look at without drawing it, but it is a key area. So what I'm doing is I'm continuing to drill down and I'm thinking about what makes sense for the next session, right? It's one thing to have the levels, but again, it's something that people get caught up on. Every single level can't be a line in the sand, right? They have to matter. You have to have some intuition about them, about what the session wants to do based off of the overall trend, right? We've been in a higher high, higher low situation, right? What we can see here, higher high, higher low. Let me actually fix my chart here. Higher high, higher low situation, which means that I should expect that to continue to play out until proven otherwise. Now, we're going to ignore some of the other TA for now and just focus on volume profile. We are near a major pivot, but don't even worry about that. The key here, the practice I want you to take away from this video, especially as you just signed up for maybe a starter, your expert account, is figuring out what are the key levels and what makes sense for the next session, assuming we're going to have a range close to this, plus or minus 10 points, and we have a major level here. We're closer to this level here. This level is pretty close. Okay, so we could have a range day inside here, these levels. If we crack this, what's the next target, right? If we crack this, what's the next target? What makes sense? Okay, we know we like to test these prior POCs. So if we crack this, maybe we come down to here. If we crack this one, well, we talked about that. Okay, we have this previous sweep here that we could retest, right? This price this is a pretty strong imbalance here. You could see here that this is a low volume area or low value area. So if we come up here, we could sweep that and come to the base of this node here. Those are reasonable expectations based off of these levels. And that's how you can use these levels to actually form a thesis. So the answer to the title of this video of what time frame to use for your volume profile analysis is all of them. You want to use all of them. You want to start on the hires, just like any type of analysis, whether you're just doing, price structure based analysis or otherwise. Start on the higher time frames, form a thesis, right? Just find what the key levels are actually first in the auction. What are the primary areas of interest? Again, the big magnets, where there's a lot of value, we know people want to transact there. Where there's little value, we know that nobody wants to transact there. We're most likely going to fly through it, right, and create that imbalance, or because there is an imbalance, or we're just going to reject and pivot. And then also the magnets, again, when there's high value. So both of those cases. And then as you drill down, think about, okay, the market has an average range of 30 points right now, assuming it's going to do that again. What major target makes sense? What's in reach given the normal up and down, high, low, or double bottom, double top that I might see forming? So now I'm layering in my technical analysis with what the auction is providing me from a an auction magnet kind of area. I said that poorly. So I'm combining technical analysis with auction theory, right? What are the technicals telling me? And then where do I think the auction wants to end up? What are some reasonable prices for us to end up in the next session? That's the way that I approach analysis and trading, and the way that you can incorporate that into your own trading. If you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You will find all the best deals here. If you want help passing your eval account, you can join my Discord. There's a link down below here. It's called Trade Edge. There's a link called WAP. There's a link with wap.com/trade edge. Of course, again, be part of the MyFundedFutures Discord. Follow us on all of our socials, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.